and welcome to Peninsula Backstage, the show that looks inside local live theater and talks about upcoming productions that you can go see. I'm Nina Perry, and I'm your host. British playwright Harold Pinter wrote more than 30 plays in the second half of the 20th century and won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2005. His play, The Birthday Party, is being produced this month as part of the Second Stages series at the Dragon Theatre in Redwood City. The show runs at the Dragon Theatre from June 6th through June 15th. Today on Peninsula Backstage, we'll be talking with Jenny Hollingworth, producer and director of The Birthday Party, Celia Morris, who plays Meg, and Paul Stout, who plays Stanley. Jenny and Paul and Celia, welcome to Peninsula Backstage. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Yeah.
So Jenny, tell us about The Birthday Party. What's it about?
What is it about? Well, from a plot point of view, it's set in a boarding house in England in the 1950s, somewhere near the sea. And there is one lodger who seems to have been there for some time. His name is Stanley. And we don't know too much about him, but he is clearly depressed and probably agoraphobic as well. And on the day that we open, and the action only lasts 24 hours, two mysterious men are coming to stay as lodgers at the boarding house, and Stanley is clearly very rattled by this prospect. So the rest of the play is about their arrival and what happens next. I think on a slightly deeper note, the play is about, as all Pinter's plays are, about language and the slipperiness of it and memory and how we don't always remember things the same way. But this play, particularly more than the others, is about the knock on the door and the extent to which we all live with the possibility that one day someone is going to knock on the door that we don't want to see and possibly try us for crimes that we've committed or bring back something from our past that we've been trying to avoid. It's got a sort of Kafka type feel to it, this play.
Okay. Now, when the play opened in the late 50s, it did not get a great reception.
No, it didn't. Well, actually, it didn't. It opened, I believe it was in Oxford and one other English city where they had student audiences who loved it.
Okay.
But then it went to London and the critics, perhaps a more traditional audience, and the critics hated it, and I think it ran for about 6 days and they had to pull it.
Yes. And now it's one of his most popular works.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So do you know why the shift might have happened in the last 50 years?
Well, I think there's been a lot more Pinter since then. So people have got slightly more used to the idea, but it was still at a time when people expected to go to the theatre to be entertained, to be told a story that would have a clear middle, beginning, middle, and end, and to have characters that seem to have clear motivation and self-awareness. And Pinter's play is very different from that in style.
Right. So from the script, it's not entirely clear what's going on in the play. So did you decide for yourselves what was happening? And if so, did you decide as a group, or does each of you have your own vision?
I think the visions vary to some degree. I think we agree on what's happening in the particular moments in the action of the play, but the background behind that is somewhat, fungible. We all have a little bit, provide our own details into that, and we don't always completely agree on that. I think we've had some moments where we really, you think that? So
it's quite interesting to do that, because with another kind of play you would sit down and sort of figure out everybody's background, and as a director for this one, because it's Pinter, I haven't had those discussions. I've left each actor to figure out their background, but yesterday we did have a moment where something wasn't clear, and I said, I'm not quite sure what you're saying with that line, what that means. And then when the story comes out, well, I'm saying it because in my past I did, and I'm oh, you did? I didn't know that, because I thought that you had come from somewhere else. So it's a fine line, but it certainly makes it interesting, I think, to do it that way.
There's very little background to that you play anyway. Right. I mean, everything is happening, as you said, exactly at the moment. And to enhance that, I did something that I haven't done before when I was learning the lines. I did not read the whole play again, and I came in late, so I missed the table read. And so I'm just in my world. And that is how Meg is. She's in her world, and things happen to her. And yeah, so that's, I felt was a little bit more, just sort of, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that
Yeah.
you did it that way. That's good. I think some actors are more comfortable with that than others. I mean, we have 6 people in the cast, and some of them have wanted to discuss more fully their motivation than others, and that's fine. If they want to, we can do it, and if they don't want to, that's
We have
That's
very
fine too.
diverse acting styles in this play.
Yes.
It's very interesting how we've all come at it in very different ways.
yes.
Yeah.
And Celia, have you been in a Pinter play before?
1,000 years ago, yes. And I've been aching to do one again, so this was great. Yeah, it was nice to get that email. Are you interested? Yes. Yeah.
You ask it.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do it. Very happy.
And Paul, how about you?
I've actually done the birthday party once before, about 500 years ago, maybe not 1,000, but yeah, it was a while back. So, yeah, a different role.
Different role.
Yeah,
All right.
You
so
played Meg.
I'd make it.
Okay. So, how would you characterize Pinter's style and how it differs from other playwrights? And for those of our audience who are familiar with Pinter, how is this play different from other plays that he has written?
You want me to talk?
You talk for a bit.
Okay, I'll start. Actually, I'll go for the easier part, which the ways in which it's different from his other plays. It still adheres to the traditional 3-act, 2-intermission format, which he later abandoned. So it's in its shape, it's quite a classical style. I think it's the funniest of his plays, and I think that it probably has more action, actually. Things actually happen in this play that maybe... So I think some of his themes that he uses a lot more later, like memory and language, are not so key in this. I think in some ways it's more accessible and more sort of entertaining with a capital E than his later work. I don't know what you guys
I would
think.
agree with that. I think it's
Yeah.
more accessible. Than he has written less accessible stuff.
Yeah.
And I think the violence is less implied and more actual
Okay.
Yeah.
in this show than
Right.
becomes all implied late in his later works. I
Yeah.
think.
Okay. Celia, did you want to say something, or
No, they've said it perfectly.
they've said it perfectly? All right. Well, now that we've
Surprised
talked
me.
about it, I think we would like to see some of it. So Celia and Paul are going to perform a scene from the birthday party. So we'll excuse them to let them get set up on our stage. And Jenny, is there anything you'd like to say about this scene or about what has happened before the scene, before we...
So this scene is quite early on in the play. So I chose it because I didn't want to give too much away.
Right.
I think this relationship between Meg, who is the probably, can't say for sure, but probably childless landlady, who maybe wanted a child of her own, this sort of relationship that she's built up with Stanley as almost her surrogate son, and the way that he reacts to that, and there's a kind of codependency in this relationship, but at the same time, there's definitely some, a lot of negativity as well. And I think this scene sets up quite nicely some of those themes that you then see later in the play.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and I hope it's funny too.
Yes. Wonderful. All right. Are we ready? Let's watch.
What do you mean?
You're a bad wife.
I'm not. Who said I am?
Not to make your husband a cup of tea in the morning,
He knows I'm not a bad wife.
giving him sour milk instead.
It wasn't sour.
Disgraceful.
You mind your own business anyway. You won't find many better wives than I. No, not at all. You won't find many better wives than I. I keep a very nice place and I keep it clean. Yes, and this house is very well known for a very good boarding house for visitors.
Visitors? Do you know how many visitors you've had since I've been here?
How many?
One.
Who?
Me. I'm your visitor.
You're a liar. This house is on the list.
I bet it is.
I know it is. Was it nice?
What?
Fried bread?
Succulent.
Oh, you shouldn't say that word.
What word?
That word you said.
What? Succulent?
Oh, don't say it.
What's the matter with it?
Shouldn't say that word to a married woman.
Is that a fact?
Yes.
Well, I never knew that.
Well, it's true.
Who told you that?
Never you mind.
Well, if I can't say it to a married woman, who can I say it to?
Oh, you're bad.
What about some tea?
You want some tea? Say please.
Please.
Say sorry first.
Sorry first.
No, just sorry.
You know, just sorry.
Oh, you deserve the strap.
Don't do that.
Brought the tea in.
I don't know what I'd do without you.
Don't deserve it, though.
Why not?
Go on. Calling me that.
How long has that tea been in the pot?
It's good tea. It's good strong tea.
This isn't tea, it's gravy.
It's not.
Oh, get out of it, you succulent old washing bag.
I am not. It isn't your place to tell me if I am.
It's not your place to come into a man's bedroom and wake him up.
Oh, Stanny, don't you like your cup of tea of a morning, the one I bring you?
I can't drink this muck. Why, didn't someone tell you to warm the pot at least?
That's good strong tea, that's all.
Oh, God, I'm tired. Not the bloody table!
Stan,
What?
am I really succulent?
Oh, you are. I'd rather have you than a cold in the nose any day.
You're just saying that.
Look, why don't you get this place cleared up? It's a pigsty. And another thing, what about my room? It needs sweeping, it needs papering. I need a new room.
Oh, Stan, that's a lovely room. I've had some lovely afternoons in that room. Is the sun shining? What are you smoking?
Cigarette.
You going to give me one?
No.
I like cigarettes. Tickle, tickle.
Get away from me.
Are you going out?
Not with you.
But I'm going out shopping in a minute.
Go.
You'll be lonely all by yourself.
Will I?
Yes, without your old Meg. I've got to get things in for the two gentlemen.
What two gentlemen?
I'm expecting visitors.
What?
You didn't know that, did you?
What are you talking about?
Two gentlemen asked Petey if they could come and stay for a couple of nights. I'm expecting them.
I don't believe it.
Well, it's true.
You're saying it on purpose.
Petey told me this morning.
When was this? When did Petey see them?
Last night.
Who are they?
I don't know.
Didn't he tell you their names?
No.
Here. They want to come here?
Yes, they do.
Why?
This house is on the list.
But who are they?
You'll see when they come.
They won't come.
Why not?
No, I tell you, they won't come. Why didn't they come last night if they were coming?
Perhaps they couldn't find the place in the dark. Not easy to find in the dark.
They won't come. Someone's taking the Michael. Forget all about it. It's a false alarm. A false alarm. Where's my tea?
I took it away. You didn't want it.
What do you mean you took it away?
I took it away.
What did you take it away for?
You didn't want it.
Who said I didn't want it?
You did.
Who gave you the right to take away my tea?
You wouldn't drink it.
Who exactly do you think you're talking to?
What?
Come here.
What do you mean?
Come on, I want to ask you something.
No.
All right, I can ask from here just as well. Tell me, Mrs. Bowles, when you address yourself to me, who exactly do you think you're talking to, huh?
That was a succulent scene.
Yes, indeed.
So what was fun and or challenging about directing this particular scene in the play?
I think it's. I mean, it's like most of Pinter. It really just you just have to play the words. It's very. He had such an acute ear for the way that people actually speak, and it's why I'm so attracted to him as a playwright, because perhaps because I'm English particularly, but the way that people speak, I recognize these people. I've heard people talk like this all my life,
Right.
and I think the challenge is to make it real and natural and sound like people, but at the same time be interesting and dramatically satisfying. And there's actually a fine line between something being so naturalistic that it doesn't sort of have that impetus. So that's where they come in to
Right.
give it the excitement.
Yes. So Pinter has said that there are two types of silences, one in which no words are spoken and one in which a torrent of words is spoken. So we definitely saw the latter quite a bit in this scene. And so obviously there's a lot going on underneath that we're not hearing.
Yes, which is very English. Anyway.
I think, I mean, the silences and pauses and so on, there are fewer pauses and so on in this play than in his other plays. So I think that's a theme that he developed later, this sort of subtext of what's being said.
Right.
We used it to our advantage, though, when we forget lines.
Yes. It's just one of those Pinter pauses.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So Cecilia and Paul, how about for you performing the scene and learning the scene? How was your experience with that?
The tricky thing is that there are so many sentences that are almost the same, but the words are just switched. And that is actually extremely difficult, and you have to get it right because of the music of the piece. And it really does feel like a musical piece. You know that if you've gone off, then you've really gone off. But yeah, learning the same thing over and over again, but different, you have to think a lot, and it hurts.
The rhythms are repetitive. I recall, though, we had a moment in rehearsal a while back where an ah was a no, and we looked at the script, and the one word was different, and it changed the whole context of the scene. When we when we started, I'm not sure those are the actual words, but it was a one-word line that was being said wrong that changed completely what was going on.
Yeah.
For a section of the show. So you have to pay attention to the detail.
Right.
Yes.
Now, Jenny, a couple of years ago, you directed Betrayal, also by Harold Pinter.
did.
Yes. And it, by the way, won the Silicon Valley Standout Adult Contemporary Drama Award.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So how was your experience directing Betrayal? How has that sort of informed your experience directing The Birthday Party? Did you learn things that you used this time around, or are there things that you're approaching differently?
I learned that if you put on a Pinter play, you get an incredibly high caliber of actor interested in being involved in it, which is terrific. And not flattery aside, that is, so when I did Betrayal, I had a caliber of actor that worked on it with me that allowed me as a director to develop tremendously, because I was no longer an acting coach or someone just trying to move people around the stage. We were really discussing and exploring and developing the text. And that's happened again with these guys, which is great. We had so much interest at auditions, and so I've got a great cast. This is different from Betrayal in that it's just on a question of scale. There's 6 people instead of 3, and there's more. We have a fight choreographer. There's quite a lot of movement on the stage that has to be blocked carefully and looked at and so on. And I find that challenging. And, you know, sometimes I can't see what's going to happen until it happens, and then it either looks right or it doesn't. Betrayal was much smaller in that way, more intimate. So, but it's been fun. Yeah. Nobody's broken a limb yet. I don't think. A few bruises, maybe.
So Paul and Celia, did you come out specifically for the birthday party, or just, you know, would you do so for any Pinter play?
Yes and yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty much,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I was
Okay.
thrilled to see that it was being done.
Right.
It was certainly an attraction to the Dragon season when I saw the birthday party was being done. And
Right.
I certainly was interested.
Right. Right. So Jenny, how did you get involved with the second stages series at the Dragon? And, you know, briefly say what that is and
So
how this
the-
all got started.
So the Dragon has its normal season of, I think it's 6 sort of what they call main stage productions, 5 in the year. And then they wanted to give the opportunity to 4 artists in the Bay Area, not necessarily directors, to put on their own choice of show. And that's such a rare thing as a director, that you are told that you can choose anything you like and you don't have to worry about the normal audiences or the space, whatever. You can just choose. And they pay a certain amount towards it. They give you the use of the theatre as a rehearsal space as well. They mentor you through the process of producing. So as well as directing, I'm actually producer on this show, and they help with the marketing, and it's just an opportunity for 4 lucky people. So they approached me with the offer, and I leapt at the chance to do another Pinter. Yeah.
Now, did they choose the play, or did you
No,
choose
no,
the play?
it was. I could have chosen anything I
Okay.
wished, and I think
Okay.
the 4 that were chosen are all very different. But this was my choice. Yeah. So
All right. All right. So and when did the casting process begin?
I don't
March?
know.
Was it March?
March probably.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was
End
no.
of March, yeah.
Yeah, I had auditions. I think at the end
Okay.
of March.
Okay. And then when did rehearsal start?
Beginning of May. No, end of April.
Yeah.
Beginning of May.
Beginning of
Not
May.
long ago
Oh,
enough.
wow.
Yeah.
I missed the first week.
Yeah.
So this has been only a few weeks for you.
Oh, yeah.
It's a month.
All right.
Yeah, we have a month.
Wow. Wow. That is fast. That is fast.
Yeah.
So tell us a little more about the collaboration, the one-on-one time you get with a small cast. Even though it's 6 versus 3, you had 3 last time, but 6 is still pretty small, right?
There are quite a few of 2 people only
Yeah.
scenes.
Okay.
So that, like the one we've just seen, where so then there might just be me and you 2 and the stage manager in the room, and
Right.
that can feel quite intimate.
Yeah. It's great.
It's wonderful because we can take our time with it and
Yeah.
work in
Right.
small sections.
Yeah,
And ask questions.
Yeah.
yeah, and just have an ear for the detail, which,
Yeah.
as Paul said, is really important. Just to hear the lines and make sure that all of them are grounded in something that sounds true and real.
Right. Now, the Dragon Theater is now in Redwood City. It was in Palo Alto when
Yes.
you last did Betrayal there.
Yes.
And so the space is a little different. Is it still conducive enough for this type of play?
Yeah, it's bigger,
Yeah.
so more seats, more audiences. We like that, right? But yeah, it's. I think Pinter does well in an intimate space. It's still a pretty intimate space. It's a slightly odd-shaped stage because we have audience on 2 sides,
Right.
and the stage comes down in a diagonal.
Okay.
But yeah, so the blocking gets a little tricky in that point of view sometimes, but we figure it out.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and so we will see the English Seaside Boarding House
Yes.
on the set of The Dragon. Very
Yes.
good. Anything you want to say about the set specifically?
No. I don't think so.
They're working hard on it.
I mean, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's very grounded in reality. It's
Yes,
not
okay.
sort of symbolizing anything else or abstract or anything. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Beautifully done, but straightforward.
Very nice, very nice. So we have a few minutes left. So once more, Harold Pinter's The Birthday Party is running from June 6th through June 15th at the Dragon Theater in Redwood City as part of the Second Stages series.
Yes.
And there's a special preview event on Thursday night, June 5th, with a couple faculty members from the Stanford Theater Department, Rush Rem and Kay Kostopoulos.
Yes.
So can you briefly mention what that will entail?
so we are doing our normal preview that evening, but before that, those two people whose names I can't say,
I hope I said them right.
they are coming, I believe, I'm not involved myself, I believe that they are going to do some readings of some of Pinter's, not just his drama, but also some of his political writing, because he was a prolific writer in many areas, and have a general discussion for about an hour with an invited audience.
Okay.
And then they are going to go and adjourn to a bar, something. And then they're coming back to heckle at the to enjoy the preview an hour later. So that's I believe they're an invited audience. But then anyone can come to the preview.
To the preview.
Yeah.
All right, and that's Thursday night, June 5th.
Yes.
All right, very good. Well, Jenny and Paul and Celia, thank you very much for appearing on Peninsula Backstage. We look forward to the play. And if you've enjoyed this episode, you can find Peninsula Backstage on Facebook. We're at facebook.com/peninsula-backstage. We have links to previous episodes. And if you like us, you can get updates on when new episodes become available for viewing. I'm Nina Perry. Thank you for watching. And remember to go out and support local live theater. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was fun. It does just go so quickly.